Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Today we're gonna talk about three philosophers that, considered as a group, can be called the Pluralists. These three philosophers are Empedocles, Anaxagoras, and Democritus, that although they had lived in different places and thought very different things, they can still be considered as a unit. These philosophers are characterized for accepting the theoretical assumption of Parmenides, but also for accepting the evidence of the vast multiplicity in continuous dynamism. The solutions that these philosophers gave were trying to reconcile the characteristics that the being of Parmenides had, but fragmented it into several principles in order to justify the vast multiplicity. Now let's go see what each of these pluralists said about the principles. Now let's go straight to the point. Empedocles said that the reality was divided in four fundamental principles that are water, air, fire, and earth. Wait a minute! Like Avatar? The Last Airbender? Exactly! You're getting the point! Seriously, Empedocles said that these four elements could not be corrupted or transformed. They were immutable, like the being for Parmenides. But these four elements combined together, but without being confused, gave origin to the multiplicity of the world. But how do these four elements mix or get separated from one another? Well, Empedocles said that there are two forces that combine such elements: love and hate. In the beginning, air, fire, water, and earth were combined by love, forming a great compact sphere. But then hatred entered this sphere and began to separate its elements until we arrived at a total separation. Now this process of union and separation of the elements is an endless cycle, and the world we live in is located in an intermediate part of this process, and each time this cycle begins, new worlds and new universes begin to exist. Now let's go talk about Anaxagoras. Anaxagoras also considered that the fundamental principle of all things must be indestructible and eternal. However, it seems to him that in order to give an account of the vast multiplicity of things, he needed an all-embracing principle. Four elements alone do not explain all the different creatures that live in the world. In fact, the phenomenon that amazed Anaxagoras had to do with food and digestion. Now let's try to understand it. Imagine that you eat a slice of pizza, and from that slice of pizza, your hair begins to grow, your nails begin to grow, the blood in your vein increases, and so on. How is this possible? Now, anyone that studied biology or medicine could explain it to us without any difficulty. Now, it is amazing how the food we eat is assimilated and transformed by our organism. What Anaxagoras said, with a certain spark of genius, was that all things are present in all things. The reality is composed of an infinite number of small seeds that Anaxagoras called homeomeres. Homeomeres are very small parts of all things, and to each reality corresponds a type of homeomery. There are tree homeomeres, there are pizza homeomeres, there are lion homeomeres, and so on. Everything is in everything. In a slice of pizza, we have seeds of blood, seeds of nails, seeds of hair, but just that the pizza homeomeres are the vast majority in this set of seeds. This way, it seems justified that one thing can in some sense change. Homeomeres are infinite and indestructible, but if their proportion inside a thing changes, the nature of that body changes. Like Empedocles, Anaxagoras also established a cause or a force that moved all these homeomeres, and that cause is the intellect, which in Greek is called the nous. But this intellect is not human, but divine, which is not made by homeomeres. Finally, let's go look what Democritus had to say. So we have two guys here. Hey, that's great. No, but things are simpler. You see, Leucippus was the founder of the atomist school. And all we know about atomism, we know it from his disciple Democritus. Why are they called the atomists? Well, it's quite simple, because reality is formed out of atoms. Wait a second, isn't this one of the great discoveries of modern science? I mean, Dalton, Rutherford, Bohr, what's with all of them? Don't tell me that these guys discovered the atoms 2,000 years before them. But they didn't even have a microscope. You see, you're partly right, but also partly wrong. Obviously, Leucippus and Democritus didn't know anything about protons or electrons, nor did they propose a model of what the atom looks like. All they said is that all of reality in all its variety was composed by material physical particles, qualitatively equal, and these particles must be indivisible, hence the name atom. The only difference that there would be between the atoms would be their geometric form, but always being qualitatively equal. The differences between things are caused by different quantities and ways of placing the atoms. Now, to better explain the different ways of grouping atoms, the atomist introduced the notion of a void. The void is real, and is the way in which the atoms move and combine, colliding with each other. Empedocles and Anaxagoras mention a cause or force that initiated the movement within these principles, while the atomists said that this force of movement was within the nature of the atoms themselves. Atoms are unstable, and thus they present a really random movement. Therefore, atoms necessarily move, but without any precise finality. It seems from this perspective that everything would be a product of chance and fortune. Now, it would be difficult to explain, following these principles, that the universe is rational. And so we have the Pluralists, that try to reconcile the theory of being of Parmenides with the experience that we have of moving things. With them, we now finish our Presocratic series in our history of philosophy. So guys, thank you very much for watching this video. If you want to know more, remember you can go down in the description. We leave those files there so you can keep on studying on our Presocratic philosophy. Guys, thank you very much. Have a good day.